All right, here we go. Welcome one and all to my channel. My name is Chris, and this is We Love Comics. My channel is all about the love of comics, collecting, how to invest, all that fun stuff. So if you enjoy those kind of videos, hopefully you'll subscribe and check out my content. If you're new to this channel, I've had a deal with PGX, and by deal, I mean there are no contracts signed. I do not get paid. But roughly about 8 years ago, I sent a message to PGX, CGC, and CBCS to see if they would be willing to do a little bit of a barter system where I could send them some comics to get graded every month and they can get some advertisement and hopefully some business. Of the three, PGX was the only one to respond. So I was very happy to do this where they allow me, as of this point, to send in 4 comics every single month to get uh, graded, of course, pressed and dry cleaned if needed, signature verification if needed, and also thanks to my idea that they implemented, which isn't even on their website, you can add the grader's notes onto the back of the slab, and they're the only company that does that. I wish they would all do it, but they they listen to me, and I like that. So if you're interested, because this benefits me because I pay $50 to get that all done for all 4 comics. Used to be free, but I don't have the viewership I used to. So the fact that they're letting me still do it at all is incredible. So they are very loyal and very dedicated to me for that, and I appreciate that. So if you haven't used PGX before, I want to make sure you guys get a benefit as well. So if you use the code We Love Comics Free Press and send in 10 or more comics to get graded by them for the first time, you can get one of them pressed for free. And what I always say is indicate which one you want pressed. You do have to write that on the invoice because, like I said, this is not something that you'll find on the website. If you want to have the graders notes added, which I love that feature because, especially if you're going to sell your book, this has it right there on the slab. It's printed right on the label, so it's protected and allows a buyer to know what's wrong with the book or what's not wrong with the book. So if you want to do that, again, you have to add that to the invoice. Use the code We Love Comics Graders Notes, and it's $5 per slab. And trust me, it definitely makes it that much more desirable, especially if you're going to sell a book. So you guys get a benefit, I get a benefit, and hopefully PGX gets the benefit. So, um, like I said, since I'm under no contract, I'm under no obligation to say anything other than my shared experience. And let's put it bluntly, because I like to be blunt and honest. If a company was not doing what I was satisfactory with, even if they were paying me to do it, I wouldn't do it for 8 years plus. So I've had no problems with them. Are they perfect in every way? Absolutely not. There is no company on the planet that is. But overall, every month I get to send in 4 comics. I think of all that time, I think there have been 2 crack cases in total in 8 years, 4 every month. And I think maybe 4 grades I felt were not graded properly. So if you're talking the grand scheme of how many comics, 4 a month for over roughly about 8 years, not going to complain at all. So you make up your own mind if you want to listen to people on the internet based on their biases, or do you want to experience information from somebody that actually deals with a company and is under no obligation to say anything, which I love. They give me the freedom to be able to say whatever I want. They'd ever talk to me about a video saying, oh, maybe you shouldn't say that, or maybe you should add this. They've never tried to have me edit a video or censor me in any way. And I really appreciate that. I wish more businesses were that way. So, with that being said, if you would like to critique the AI art, by all means, please do, positive or negative. Always appreciate the comments. If you want to support my channel, you can go to patreon.com/we love comics. You'll get your name on this board and shouted out every video I do. And if I ever someday get to 20 paid members, I have giveaways that I've been trying to give away. I've been doing it for about a year and a half, 2 years now. Stuck at 13, but hey, I appreciate the 13 people because, like I've told people in the past, about 90 to 95% of any of the contributions go towards helping all the stray animals that I take care of on a regular basis. So shout out to Sith Lord Michael B, James R, Dan L, Herbert R, Annabelle N, Jason B, Kim N. Bless the newest and latest member. You can also, if you want, instead of your name, if you want me to do a shout out on one of your social networks or anything, let me know. I'll do that instead. But we got Kendall Kid Comics at YouTube. Shout out to him. At Scott WU077 on Instagram. Shout out to Stephen L. Turk, author on Facebook. Go check him out. He's got a couple of books that he's been writing. And then last but not least on Instagram at Silver Age Surfer underscore comics. So once again, you could pause this if you want to see all the different tiers. If I get to 20 paid members in any given month, every single month I will mail out, I will do a raffle, and one person will be able to win one of the prizes. Even if you win one, you're still eligible the next month if you're a paid member and continue to do the contribution. So, for every $2 that you apply to your We Love Comics Patreon account each month, you get one entry. So the more you contribute, the more chances you'll get when I do the drawing. And again, we just need 20 people, so 7 more people. You could do the minimum of $2, and I'm grateful because it helps me buy cans of cat food, helps me with the medical bills, things of that nature. So your contributions go to a good cause. So, with all of that out of the way, welcome to the few people that will be kind enough to watch, and even the fewer people kind enough to comment. If you want to join the live chat, by all means, please do. This is where I show the books that I'm going to be sending in this month. I'm going to make a prediction of what I think the grades will be. Keep in mind, I always tell my predictions based on what I think they're going to be after a pressing and dry cleaning. So when I show the books, you may say, "Oh, that's got a non-color breaking crease or some wrinkles or anything." I'm basing it on what I think it's going to be after a pressing and dry cleaning. That's why I always do a range, usually within one grade limit unless it's something that has a lot of pressable defects. One of the things I recommend, no matter who you send your comics to get graded, if you get them graded, get your books pressed and dry cleaned. But also make sure you go to a person that has years of experience. Be very careful because I've seen videos where people that have been doing this for a while, well, they'll send their comics to somebody that may be a friend or somebody nice on them on their comment section on their channel, and they have them press them and dry clean them. And I've seen where a grade was like, for example, a 7.0, sent it to somebody to get pressed and dry cleaned, and it came back either the same grade or even lower. So you got to be careful about that. In my honest opinion, through my experiences, PGX is by far one of the better places to get your books pressed and dry cleaned. I've never had a problem. They've increased the beauty and the stability of the comics. And also, they're not a greedy company. So, in other words, if let's say you paid for 10 books to get all pressed, if 8 of the 10 don't need pressings, they're going to tell you that and then not charge you. How many companies would just charge you for all 10 and then either just press them anyway or pretend that they pressed them? So I've seen that, and they've actually done that with me back before I even started doing this, and that's what got me to be inspired to actually make the message to all the grading companies. Is I remember the first time I ever sent anything to a grading company, first time to PGX, the owner, Daniel Patterson, shout out to him, he actually called me because I remember it was my Walking Dead #1 graded. I don't know what was graded at the time. I think it might have been raw, but they said that a pressing would actually help the book. Now, this is before I even knew what a pressing was. Um, they didn't have to do that, but going above and beyond is something I like from a company. I wish more would do it. So they're more personal with that. You can actually call the company and speak to the owner. How many businesses can you do that with? So you make up your own decision on what you want to do. So let's show the books. If you've been watching this series, you know that there is a specific series that I've been sending in one each month because I got a deal on this set, and I recommend people get this set because we'll see if Disney and Marvel turn things around. But I think, like I've said, because I'm not even going to watch any of these Marvel movies that are coming out now, even Fantastic Four, which you guys know I wanted to be so looking forward to seeing that movie until they started saying they're going to keep doing the DEI nonsense. But the problem was they started production of that movie a couple years ago while all that DEI was mainstream and regular. So I think once they start new productions now, I'm hoping, knock on wood, that they're going to stop trying to push agendas and go back to what made them popular to begin with, and that's giving the fans what they wanted. It all started with Iron Man #1, Iron Man 1, which was just called Iron Man. That was a Was it a classic movie, a best movie of all time? No. But did it give fans what they wanted? Absolutely. And that's why it was successful. And that's what started the run of dozens of great movies. I hope they go back to that. But I think this is something I'd highly recommend taking the chance on. You're probably not going to get the deals that I've gotten because I got these years ago when I was telling people to buy them, and most people don't listen to me, and that's fine. The few that do can tell me and even put it in the comment section that over the years they've done well listening to my advice. But this is Avengers vs. X-Men. The series is a limited series run from issue 0 to issue 13. This is issue 10. Now you'll see some scribble on here because when I bought this set, all 14 comics from issue 0 all the way to issue 13 were signed. Now each one has either 5 or 6 signatures. To me, just trying to acquire all these signatures alone could not only be time consuming, but also very costly. Because even if the signatures are not being charged for, which a lot of the artists and writers and everything charge now these days, but just going to Comic Cons or mailing them out to get them signed, you're going to run up a lot of money doing this. So this is the regular set. There are plenty of variants out there. Go check those out. I think there's one, I think it's KB Toys, if you know what it is, but there's some that are half colored, half black and white, some that are all black and white. If you could find those, grab them. But I paid per comic $16.07. This one has 5 signatures signed by Jimmy Chung, Jason Aaron, Matt Fraction, Laura Martin, and Jonathan Hickman. So, like I said, PGX does signature verification. So they verified all these signatures. These were all bought at once from the same seller. So all of these seem to be authentic, and all the signatures looked exactly, as similar as they're going to be. Because if you write your name 20 times, you're going to have some minor variations. But for $16.07 per issue, I'm going to do well on this. Now, because it's a new book, even though it's a newer book, it's not guaranteed to be a 9.8. I always hate when people say, oh, I bought this book right off the shelf. Why isn't it a 9.8? Well, because comics can still get damaged even if they haven't been read or they were on the shelf the day you bought them. People browse through them and read them. Sometimes they just get thrown up on the shelf without any bags and boards and the corners can bend. So just because something's brand new right off the shelf does not guarantee a 9.8. So I always keep that in mind, and I always do a range, even if I think it's going to be a 9.8. I'm going to say between 9.4 and 9.8 with white pages, of course, but we'll see. I had one or two of them that were 9.2s. The rest are between 9.4 and 9.8. So nothing lower than a 9.2 so far in this set. We'll see if that continues. But again, for $16.09, I'm not going to complain about that. All right, next up, I've only had one other of these graded, and that was back in New York. So it's been a few years since I've had this book graded, but I had another copy. Um, I just haven't sent in to get graded. I just thought I would do it now. Not that it has any significance with any movies or anything, but still, key issue. This, of course, is showcase number 30, which is the first Silver Age appearance of Aquaman. So definitely a key book to get. This predates Aquaman #1. The staples are barely hanging on. So one of the things I always recommend is when you're sending books to get graded to anybody, if there's something like that, make sure you mention it. So I write on there, and you can see the price I paid, $97.89. Don't assume that a person that's going to pull this book out to, review it to grade it is going to know or care about the book. They're just going to take it out and they're not going to be aware. So if you have something like a staple where it's barely hanging on or it's loose, they can end up pulling it out forcefully without knowing, not with any malintent, and end up popping the staples. And now you have a lower graded book. So if there's anything you want a person that's grading the book, no matter what company you're going to know, write it on the back. So this way, you have a better chance. Now, it doesn't guarantee they're not going to just rip it out anyway because, they might have had 50 cups of coffee. They might be on their 16th hour of a shift, and this is their 5 millionth book, and they just want to go home and get it over with. But things like that help. So, as you saw also, I think my grade prediction on this, again, after pressing and dry cleaning, will be about a 3.5 to 4.5 with creamed off-white pages. And with the Superman movie coming out, which, by the way, again, I'm just, unless I hear a lot of positive reviews from people I trust and not just the ones that, get the early access and just going to butter it up like they're, you know, trying to impress a girl that they like. Um, I'm not going to go to the movies for this until I see it's worthy, because it's just, the warning signs are that the trailers are probably the best parts of the movie, because they always show the better parts of a movie, and even those people have been, you know, controversial about, with the way they're treating Superman, how he seems kind of like a he almost seems like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, kind of whiny and complaining and very emotional, which is not what you want. I'm not saying that hasn't happened with Superman. I just, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree, but we'll see what happens. Next up, got this one recently. It was, to me, in my opinion, the right time to acquire this book. This is Avengers number 48. This is the first appearance of the Black Knight, the newer quote unquote Black Knight, even though this was back in around 66, 67, maybe 68. But this is a higher grade book, and I only paid $46.68 for it. Now, I don't know if a pressing and dry cleaning will help this book, because it doesn't look like it needs it. But hey, you never know. Even if there's a tiny indent or one little wrinkle, the pressing can help it. And that could be the difference between, you know, a 5.0 to a 5.5, for example. But this book is definitely higher than that. The person that I bought it from said they thought it was between an 8.5 and a 9.0. I think it's really between an 8.5 and a 9.2. And again, after a pressing, who knows if they're going to utilize Black Knight, because they were supposed to, and it just never ended up happening. But that doesn't mean either they don't go with it now or recast at some point. But I think this book, especially you're talking the Silver Age minor key, I don't think it's going to get much lower, especially when you're talking high grade, under $50 for this. I'm not going to complain about taking the chance. Sequential Geek is here. He says, George Tuska cover date January 68. There you go. Thank you. So you can always tell by the prices. When you see the 12 cents, you know that's in the early 60s up until 1969, because in 1970, where they officially consider that the Bronze Age, prices went up to 15 cents. So if you see a 12 center somewhere in the 60s, because I know around 61 or 62, maybe 63, it was still 10 cents for comics. So roughly between about 64 to 69, it was 12 cents. So that makes it a little bit easier to identify. Unless it's one of these oversized books. And again, this is another book I bought recently. I have a couple of copies. I've sold some in auctions, which, by the way, I'm going to be doing another auction soon. I was last week planning on doing it the following week, but then I realized this coming week is going to be July 4th. And a lot of people are spending money on parties and barbecues and fireworks. So I didn't think that was a good time for people to have extra money to be able to buy comics. So I'm going to wait, another week or two after the 4th of July weekend. But if you guys that have purchased from me before are interested in purchasing in one of my auctions, because I do deals no one else does, and believe it or not, I am the first person to ever created the comic book auctions on YouTube in the comic book community. And if you're interested in any books, let me know. Because I always do a sneak peek where you can actually, like, usually a couple of days to a week before an auction, I'll show the books and you could make an offer on them. And if I accept that offer, it never sees the auction and you could get it before the auction. So let me know in the comment section if you're interested and when you would think that was a good opportunity. I have payment plans that I do, other discounts, but we'll get into that at another time. But this is a book I just got recently. Absolutely love this cover. Anytime I find it for a decent price, I'm going to pick this one up. With the movie that's coming out, this book probably going to go down a little bit at the point because of what they're doing. I'm sure you'll understand once you see it, but that doesn't mean that what goes down is not going to go back up again. I was telling people that back when the last Fantastic movie from Fox Studios was not accepted well and lost money. I was buying up Fantastic Four 50, 48, and 49 like they were going out of style. And people thought I was crazy then, but I basically sold them for like four or five times what I paid for them. So I think the same thing's going to be with this character. So that is Silver Surfer #1. This isn't his first appearance, but it is the origin of Silver Surfer and his first series of his own. 25 cents, but this came out, it's either in 1969 or 1970. This is one of those thicker books. Now there is a tiny little piece here that's ripped and a little bit missing at the edge. Actually, it's not missing, it's just folded up. So hopefully they could kind of fix that. Who knows? But it's not missing, it's just ripped a little bit. So it's about an inch. So it's going to be a lower grade, but as you could see, colors for a book from anywhere from 68 to 70. I think it's 68 or 69. I don't think this is 1970. This book, the colors pop. So let me see. There is a color break increase that goes down, but it's not ripped. You could see color breaks there. So this is a lower grade, but say it with me, low grade is better than no grade. But even with that, it's going to be in the higher end of the low grade. So I'm going to say between a 3.0 and a 4.0 with off-white pages. So the pages look pretty nice in here. Definitely, especially if you cannot afford Fantastic Four 48, which is Silver Surfer's first appearance, or even Fantastic Four 49. This is the next best book to get. Now, like I said, with the movie with the female Silver Surfer, a lot of people have a problem with it. I mean, I'm not the only one. And again, people have the right to their opinion. So if you want to see that movie and you think the female Silver Surfer is great, that's fine. I'm not going to say you're a bad person or whatever. People just have differences of opinions. I just don't want to spend my money on stuff that still, to me, seems like there's an agenda because there's a lot of information about Fantastic Four leaks that have come out saying what this movie's really about. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but if you're one of those people just watching the internet and people will tell you if you want to know, there are just too many warning signs for me to support this financially. Um, if all of a sudden everybody tells me it's the best movie and it's not what everybody was fearing, by all means, I'll go to the movie theater. I want to go to the movie theater. The only movie I've seen in the movie theater lately was the Deadpool and Wolverine. And I actually went there so sick that about three-quarters through the movie, we had to leave because I was basically almost dying and couldn't stay as much as I wanted to. But to me, this book is a no-brainer. I paid $262.15, which, believe it or not, is still not a bad price, especially for that grade, because in that grade, it's about a $400 or $500 book. This is the most I've ever spent for this book. I was telling people to buy these back when I was living in New York, about probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and I paid on average between $50 and $80 a book. So to pay almost three times that amount, even more for this book, you know, you got to do what you got to do because cars back in the early 1900s were $200 to $500. Can't good luck buying a tire for that these days. But if it's still under what the current value is, to me it's a no-brainer. So $262.15, 3.0 to 4.0 is my prediction off white, and those are the books. Now speaking of Silver Surfer, I just want to show this really quick. So if somebody's watching this, there is a person that won one of my auctions. I'm not going to say their full name, but Ashton H. Back in May, you left me a deposit to buy Fantastic Four 48 and 49, where you said you would be mailing a payment because the deposit holds the book. So you sent me a $50 deposit back in on May 12th, said you were going to mail out a payment within the week. And I've sent you about 5 or 6 messages in the past month and a half to 2 months. And for some reason, you just haven't responded. So if you're out there, after 3 months, if you don't pay for I mean, you lose your deposit. I don't know why somebody would do that. I mean, especially, I understand times can be hard. If you need a longer payment plan, which you have a year to pay it, or you needed just an extra time, just message me. You can ask anybody that's dealt with me with auctions. I am probably one of the most flexible people. But for some reason, you sent me the $50 deposit to hold it. You never sent your first payment, and you haven't responded to any emails since. And again, it's now about to turn July, and this was back in May. So, Ashton, if you're out there, contact me, peacefulfeelings at yahoo.com. Let me know the scenario because, I mean, to throw away $50 for no reason just doesn't make sense to me. It's the first time that somebody on any of my auctions has made a deposit or a first payment or whatever and then just disappeared. Anyway, and speaking of which, I'm not going to show the name, but I just want to say a shout out to Man. Just finished making his payments last night. And the show, what I always do is once somebody completes their payments for their auctions, I'm not going to tell you what's in the books because they may have a YouTube channel and they may want to do an unboxing, so I don't want to spoil it for them. But I just wanted to show that your books are packed up and ready to go, and this is bomb proof. You can see I put some stickers, do not crush. I put it all over. I always recommend people do stuff like that. See, I'd have the stickers and I write do not crush. I do it on all sides. I'm not going to show the side with his address. But man, I just wanted to let you know this is going out right after the video, right after I pack up all these 4 books to go send out to PGX, and I will send you the tracking number. So if you're one of the people that sends me payments or has ever, used one of my auctions, unless something happens, I usually send your books within 24 business hours of a payment. Now, obviously, if you paid me on Saturday at midnight, I won't be able to mail it till Monday. And if for some reason I can't mail it the next day, I will let you know. I hate when somebody you buy from says they're going to do something and then they just disappear and they don't let you know. I am always a person that if I cannot mail it the next day, I'm going to let you know and explain the situation and then mail it out the next available day that I can do it. But other than that, I'll send it out right away. So that those are your books. You can see I got this filled to the pack so they can play frisbee with it. Nothing's going to happen to your books. And that's how I ship out all books. So if you've ever ordered anything from me from my auctions, put in the comment section. Let people know that when they purchase with me, and I've had people send cash from overseas to make payments and they get their books right away. As a matter of fact, there was a person from the UK that paid for their auction and actually got their comics, I think, in about a week or less after they made the final payment. And they sent me cash from the UK. I'm not going to say who they are, but if you want to mention it, if you're listening right now and you want to put it in the live chat or in the comment section, I take pride in my word being my bond. And that's one of the reasons why I like working with PGX. Their word is their bond too. No contract signed. They don't ever dictate what I can and cannot say. Total freedom to share. So anything I say is just based on my experience. There is no bias on me. Because if you've been watching my channel long enough, you know the very few times where there was an issue with the grading, I called them out on it. So I'm not afraid to do that, but I'm not going to bash them to the point where some people just like to do that because every company can make a mistake. It's what happens after the mistake that dictates a company. And anytime there was, like, for example, the 2 times there was cracked cases, sent them back, graded them, and refixed it. No problem. The 3 or 4 times, maybe 4 or 5 times in 8 years where I just did not agree with the grade, they had no problem with it, sent it back, they regraded it. So they've never said, oh, too bad. They've never ignored me. Um, and that's what you want from any business. So again, go to PGX, use the code We Love Comics Free Press. You have to write it on your invoice. If you send 10 or more books with your first order, you can get one of them pressed for free. And if you want the greatest notes added to the back of the slab, again, not on their website, not on their invoice, you have to write it in manually. Use the code We Love Comics Greatest Notes and tell them you want the greatest notes added to the back of the slab. Again, $5 per slab. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Sequential Geek, since you are the only one here in the live chat, obviously that makes you the surprise subscriber shout out, which I'm not so sure you'll be that surprised about it, but hey, I appreciate you being here. Sequential says, per comics .org, that comic was clutched by Richard Gere in Breathless. Praising Silver Surfer. I gotta find that. Yeah, there you go. There's some trivia information. So cool on you for that. And Sequential has been following me for a while. He's one of my moderators. He's a good guy. Um, he does have a YouTube channel and he does make videos. So Sequential, when this is done, post your link in the comments section and guys, go check him out. Go tell him We Love Comics sent you. Let's show the comic book community what community's all about. Is about joining each other's channels and showing support because he's always been here and he's always been respectful. And that's the type of people we like here. So you know what? I don't get the quantity, but I definitely get the quality. So with that being said, thank you very much for the few people that will watch, the fewer people that will comment. And again, if you want to support me on my Patreon, and again, the finances that are supported to me go towards 90% of it goes towards helping the stray cats that I take care of. So it's good if you're an animal lover and you appreciate somebody that goes out of their way to support animals in need. You can go to patreon.com/We Love Comics. You'll get your name up on this board, shouted at every video. And again, if I get 20 paid members or more in a given month, I got the giveaways. For every $2, you can get one entry. So every little bit helps. Thank you so much, and you're welcome, Sequential. I appreciate you being here and always being kind and respectful. Trust me, in my career on YouTube, the majority of people have been very opposite of that to me, which is unfortunate. But hey, I can only control what I do. I can't control what others do. So I wish all of you well. If you want to thumb it up or thumb it down, I'll leave it up to you. If you want to subscribe or unsubscribe, because trust me, I've been stuck on 10,100 subscribers now for about 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, and it's not really going anywhere. I lose more subscribers than I gain every video. So if you want to unsubscribe, hey, thanks for coming. You could watch anytime. And if you ever want to resubscribe, great. But if I have one subscriber and that one person likes my content, to me, that's all that matters. Quality over quantity. So thank you for being the quality people. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, it is not you. It is not I. It is We Love Comics. Go support PGX. Go talk to Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX. He will answer the phone many a time. Tell him that you've come from my channel. He'll know me directly and he'll show you that if you give them a chance, they'll do their best for you. And that's what I appreciate in any business. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And don't forget, it's not you. It is not I. It is We Love Comics. Don't forget also to have your trolls spayed or neutered.